Hello students, welcome to class. Today it's Sunday. It's a beautiful day here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I'm going to be checking out another church. This is church number 3 for me, and this time it is a United Church. What we're particularly looking for is to see if there are vegans in there, obvious signs of veganism, or if there's unfortunate animal abuse in terms of the products that are there, or if they're talking about violence towards animals. And we're going to be looking at bulletin boards, if there are any, and things like that. So I notice already in front here that they have 2 baskets for food banks. So we're going to check that out. And you guys, come along. You ready? Let's go. From what I can see, the stuff being donated is pretty typical. Got some diapers there, some tissues, different cereal boxes. I didn't see any actual meat. Saw some peanut butter there, Cheerios, they're vegan. Not sure about the other cereals. Rice Krispie Squares though, they're not vegan because they contain eggs. However, I didn't see any direct meat. Sort of typical stuff. Doesn't seem like the church is very vegan at this point. But, you know, that's just to be expected. And we get some pasta here, and pasta is vegan as long as it doesn't have eggs in it. I didn't want to snoop through the bags there. Felt a bit weird about that. Like every other church, there's always some place where they're asking you for money. Here's a 100 envelopes challenge for the church, and here is a pamphlet asking, are you on par? So a little bit of guilt tripping there, but I'm okay with it. I mean, they have to pay their bills like anyone else. So because it's summertime right now, a lot of these different churches amalgamate, and instead of having several services that are all empty, they choose a particular church for that Sunday and they all gather there. So that's why this place looks a lot more full than it normally would be. I do notice though a very obvious lack of any kind of children. I don't see any babies. I don't see any adolescents. I don't see any parents. And the artwork on the wall, at least it is not of any overt dead bodies that I can see. So that's a little bit better than having Jesus being nailed to a cross, which would traumatize kids. I mean, people expect trigger warnings nowadays, and yet they show that to kids as if it's a good thing or something strange. I don't know. Here we have some butterflies and a scenery, a nature scenery, so that's a little bit easier for me to take. And here is the minister. I edited out a lot of what he said, but let's listen to him for a little while.
Please be seated. God of hope and peace, we have come this day asking for your mercy. Grant us your pardon also. We come this day ready to learn, teachable, seeking peace in our lives. So grant us peace. Show us how to be compassionate disciples for you. We ask this in Christ's own name.
Sounds like he's kind of open. Maybe this will be okay. So as an animal rights activist, right around now, I'm looking around at the different people and wondering what kind of corpses are inside their bodies. This woman here who plays the piano and looks like an everyday person still contributes most likely to the rape, torture, confinement, and murder of innocent animals. It would be great, of course, if she turned out to be vegan, but I won't have time to talk to everybody today. But as I looked around, all I could think of is, why is everybody here not automatically vegan? I mean, it really does say directly in the Bible, thou shalt not kill. So wouldn't that be just such an easy thing for all of these people to do? Just do the least harm? Have vegan food only during potlucks? You know? And yet, my experience with these people is that they really don't even know what's going on, or if they do, they just don't care. There's a cross. Jesus apparently died for their sins, whatever the heck that means. Just seems like empty words to me. Jesus would not want anyone here to pay for the torture of animals. Jesus would want everyone to be vegan. And that's the message I intend to convey to the minister, if I can manage to get some time with him after the service. I paused to read this little piece of paper. I don't know who wrote it, but it says, "At the end of the day, just kneel and say, 'Thank you, Lord, for my work and play. I try to be good, for I know that I should. That's my prayer at the end of the day. And when the new day begins to break, just lift up your eyes, let your heart awake. Be ready to meet what the day may send, and be ready to greet every man as a friend. Nobody knows what a power you have found, so do what you can for the others around. Try to seek high as they seem to seek low, as on your way you go." The Catholic Church and the Baptist Church that I went to previously didn't seem to say things like this. They seemed to be much more closed, and even though this may all be BS, still, I have hope that maybe they will actually think and act this way as I approach the minister today. Let's see.
All the government regulations, as per
I listened and listened and listened, and I took away a lot of the clips from the video you're seeing. They were talking about rules and regulations and who was sick and who wasn't, and it just seemed to go on, which I guess was okay if you knew everybody involved, but for me it was just kind of long, and so I'm going to fast forward to the end.
Also the news, and that's another way to contribute to your church family. You can designate your church family as a recipient.
For some reason, I was more relaxed here than the other two churches I'd visited. I was able to be more in the moment. I was content to hear the music and the people singing, though I was still wondering how much bacon and stolen eggs they'd eaten for breakfast, and how many chicken wings they will be eating for lunch, and who else they would be eating for dinner. Having grown up in a family where classical music was the norm, where my father played the cello and my mother played the violin, and we used to listen to this kind of music all the time on Sunday morning on the radio, I found comfort listening to these tunes, these melodies, hearing the voices of humans in unison. Even though some might be out of tune, I still felt glad to be there in a way on this beautiful, sunny Sunday morning.
Beloved God, in gratitude we bring these gifts, signs of our lives and our livelihoods.
Always looking around for signs of veganism, I wandered off into, I guess, what would be the children's play area and didn't see anything unusual. Saw a box of crackers. They happened to be vegan, so that was good. Then I also just noticed a few other things, like some books, a pirate book, space, that's okay, that's science, Trouble with Friends, that seems like it would be a good book, and some sort of a song book. So I looked through that a bit at different lyrics and waited for the service to be over.
Perhaps a person from your family who's on a journey, and they're asking if they can spend the rest of the night.
I'm not going to bore you with all the details of this. What's more important is that you hear the conversation I had with him after. I decided to approach the minister slowly to see if I could engage him in a discussion about veganism. But before I could even begin, he noticed my shirt and asked about it right away.
What's it say in your shirt? If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. Oh, okay. I'm not vegan, but anyway, I'm vegetarian, but not vegan. Anyway, here we are.
Okay. I actually, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because I'm trying to, been looking around at different churches, and I found this one to be quite open, and I enjoyed, a lot of what you said today. And I was thinking about what you said about perseverance.
Yeah, well, it's a funny thing because even serial killers they persevere, but it's not necessarily good. So you have to think about those things. It's what.
So you said you're vegetarian. That's kind of hopeful.
I had a heart attack about 2 years ago, and I asked my cardiologist, "Is there anything I can do that would help?" And he said, "Well, you could consider a vegetarian diet," and so that's what I did. And I'm not vegan, but I am vegetarian. I don't eat meat anymore, so it's one of those things. My dog still eats meat, but
your dog is, yeah. My dog, we became vegan 6 years ago.
Oh, really?
We found out what happens to the animals.
Yeah.
Right, and then somebody pointed out to me, well, you're not really vegan if you're still buying murdered animals and bringing them into your home for your dog. So we looked online and we found out that dogs can be vegan as well. There's kibble that you can buy. So she's had only vegan food for 5 years now.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. Well, I hadn't really thought about that so much with my dog. It doesn't really extend as much to my dog as it does to me. And nobody else in my family is vegetarian. They won't make the shift.
Do you know what happens to the cows in the industry? Did you know that they steal the baby boys, they kidnap them and they murder them?
Yeah, they do. I've seen it.
You know that?
Yeah, they veal them.
Yeah. That's because they want...
I worked in a farming parish before I came here, so I've seen all of it.
Well, and farming parishes are not the same as factory farming, which is the vast majority of what goes on right now.
Yeah.
So if you know that cows are taken away and the baby boys are murdered, and also the baby chicks, by the way, in the industry, because the chicks will never be able to lay eggs, so they don't want the roosters around, and the baby boy cows are not useful because they can't produce milk. So does this make you think that maybe you should consider veganism?
I'll consider it, but I'm not there yet. I'll think about it.
What do you think about what it says on my shirt? That if you're not vegan...
I see what it says.
Yeah, I know you read it. But what do you think about that? How do you feel knowing that this is
getting to this window?
I don't feel good about it when I read it. That's the truth.
I'm
so sorry to interrupt. When you're finished this lady would really like to talk to you.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I won't be long. At least that makes me feel better that you're saying you don't feel good about it, because in a lot of the other churches where I've talked to people, they kind of immediately justify it, and I try to say
every time I go to my cottage, I go past one of these Olamel processing plants, and you see the truckloads of animals being brought in there, and I just feel ill every time I see it.
Yeah, I mean they murder the pigs at 6 months old in gas chambers often, but at least you're not eating meat right now, but you're not eating it sort of more, if you don't mind my saying. So what's your first name?
Scott.
Am I allowed to call you that? Or
Yeah.
Okay, Scott.
That's good enough.
So Scott, you decided to be vegetarian for, sorry for saying
health
this,
reasons.
but it's for selfish reasons, right?
Yeah, they are kind of.
And so what I guess inviting you to do is to try to, go the next step and really think about the animals, because, I often think, if Jesus was sitting here right now and he knew that it was time to eat, let's say it was potluck or barbecue, right? And I said to him, look, I think we should all be getting veggie burgers, we should be roasting corn and, using vegan butter and all of these things, and vegan ice cream.
Sure.
What do you think? I just really don't think that he would say, nah, I like the factory farming. I like what you guys have done here in 2022.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. It's a different world too. I mean, the world is different now than then. Things were a lot like smaller scale, and people ate differently. But it's become a real factory. Factory thinking.
Yeah.
It's just
and everybody who lives near a store can buy all of the other things, like lentils have lots of protein in them, right?
Yep.
And beans and chickpeas and potatoes and rice. All these things are not expensive. Right.
I do.
Right.
So
what's the hardest thing for you to make the change to become vegan, do you think? What is the hardest kind of food that you really like?
Well, I like dairy.
Yeah.
See, I like dairy. I like cheeses, and I like milk in my coffee and that kind of thing. But I've tried some of the other things. They just aren't quite as, rice milk and so on. They don't taste the same, so it's hard to get used to
Scott,
it.
when I
It might be a matter of getting used to it.
Yeah, when I started to become vegan, it was the same as you. I had one of the hardest things. Of course, it's always cheese. It's very hard because it's addictive because of the casein in it.
Maybe that's
the reason that it's addictive is because they want the cows are meant to go back to their mothers to drink this milk to build themselves into these huge cows in a very quick way, right?
Yeah.
But the milk is evaporated all of the water to it, so it becomes condensed, right? So cheese is like a condensed addictive thing. And so
I think
it takes
you get used to it, and that's the
you
thing.
get used to it.
But I'm finding it, actually, to be honest with you, when I'm eating cheese now, and it's maybe because of the medications I'm taking, it doesn't taste right. Something is off, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, maybe that's God talking to you and telling you that you should.
Well, that might be a way of putting it. I don't
Right?
know. I think it's more likely what I'm taking as far as medication.
But
is
let's
probably
say
affecting things.
even if you, let's say, weren't on any medication and just love the taste, like I did, I put, when I was vegetarian like you for many years, I thought I was doing a good thing for the animals until someone told me really and said, hey, you're a total hypocrite eating eggs and cheese, and it's hard to hear at first, but I did take that into a consideration, and I realized that my taste pleasure is not worth someone's life.
Okay, well, fair enough. I will take it into consideration. I'll think about that.
Yeah,
and
great.
see where it goes.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
And I'm going to come back and see you.
Okay, you can ask me how it's
see how it's
going.
going.
See how it's going. Okay, you can ask.
It's super easy in the.
I'll tell you the truth, but
to be honest, the cow's milk was hard for me too. It took me about 7 months to get used to soy milk. Every day I took a little shot glass of it and just I'm going to get used to it. Just tell myself I'm going to get used to it.
Okay, so bit by bit.
Yeah,
bit by bit.
But also remember that if you know something's wrong, right? Like racism. If you know racism is wrong, you're not gonna wean off of it slowly. You're just going to stop it completely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you
see
go.
what I'm saying?
Okay,
Like
you're
if a
extending things that way. All right.
If a husband is beating his wife, right? You're not going to be okay. Like, okay, cut it down to just 4 days a week.
No, that doesn't work either.
Right?
You're right.
So, Scott, you seem like a good guy. I mean, I really liked
enough.
what you said here today. So,
enough.
don't take too long.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
I wasn't too excited to see the styrofoam that was being served in these one-time use cups. You would think that a church would be able to have some volunteers to wash the cups, but anyway, that's the way it was. Well, I have to say that of all of the churches I've been through to so far, since I started doing these church surveys as a vegan, I would say that this one is the best. This minister, although he's not vegan, he's vegetarian, and he said he did it for himself, for selfish reasons, for health reasons. But when I talked to him about it, he said, I feel bad eating the animals, and I was able to kind of move him towards considering veganism. So that's kind of cool. And I told him I'm going to come back and see him at another point in the future. And so we'll see. So thanks to everybody who came along here today. Really appreciate you hanging out with me. And stay tuned, because there will be more adventures of me going to see different kinds of places of worship to see how close we are to a vegan world in these religious communities. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now. Let's follow that vegan teacher on YouTube right now. Let's help her save every chicken, pig, and cow. Let's follow that vegan teacher